All right, guys, I'm going to do another quick video on Tesla update. I have been requested to do so. So we did do a video yesterday. We talked about a little bit of downside coming, and we are getting that. We did get this MACD cross negative on the 1 hour. And, you know, I was drawing this in as some type of little pennant potentially, but I also had the aspects of us breaking down due to this rising channel. So if you look at the hourly 20 EMA, it's at 81.66. And the breakdown is, well, 477. So 481.66 and then the breakdown of 477. Now the bottom of this rising channel is 473.81. It's possible we could come test that, but I'm kind of gearing towards this 481.66 area, and we'll get into it a little bit. Now, we still have time to roll over on this 1 hourly, so it's not really anything too crazy right now as far as the downside. Now, if we look at this RSI right here, you could tell that we have a little bit more that we could come down, but we will eventually be creating bullish divergence, and possibly this will turn into a W. But as of right now, we have bearish divergence because, as you see here, on the hourly, the left side is way lower than the right side, and on the RSI, we're showing we're at the exact same heights. Now, once we create this W here, we're going to end up with bullish divergence here because it's showing that the price is way up on the right, and if we can bring this RSI on the 1 hour down a little bit lower, we can show we're lower on the right. Now, depending on how low we come, that's what we have to figure out here, and we're going to look for some support areas here and the resistance that we're currently testing. So let's take a look at the 4 hourly here. So now, as we talked about yesterday, this RSI on the 4 hourly is rounding over at the top, which I kind of expected to happen. Now the question is, how low is this thing going to come? Is it going to come all the way down to here? Are we going to just come down to the dotted line area as support? I mean, if I draw some trend lines in here, I mean, it's kind of, let's see if we can figure anything out. So going off of this is probably our rising channel that we are in here. So we'll go off of that peak there. So if we were going to come down and test the bottom of the rising channel at 473, I really don't think we're going to get that, but it's very possible still. We got to keep an eye on everything here. If we did, then we would come down to touch this line here, and then we would most likely blast off due to the golden cross that we have very, very close by on the daily. Whether that reacts today or it reacts at the end of the day or it reacts on Monday, that's something we'll have to wait and see what happens here. But, you know, this little tiny correction, it's not showing anything negative on the 4 hourly besides the rolling over the RSI. I think we'll get a nice bounce on this somewhere in this area here. If it was going to happen in the next 4 hours, which the next 4 hourly candle I believe would be around 1 o'clock potentially, we could come down to 480.49 to potentially 479. If we're not going to fall through this rising channel, then that would be our bounce point, and we might bounce off that twice. But let's take a look and see if we can find, you know, an even smaller time frame in a little bit. But I'm going to screw around here with this RSI for a second just to see if any of this shows me anything. Now, I really expect us to come up a lot higher on this RSI on the daily once we get that golden cross. But as of right now, we did get a little tiny rejection, and we did talk about getting a rejection at that $500 level. I mean, it's very obvious now. It makes me wonder if this thing's really going to give us a lower target than like we expected, because of the fact of $500 being such a well-known resistance point. Do you really think that they're just going to give it to us like that, where you know, potentially everyone is just going to short this thing from 500 and they're just going to let everyone make all this money shorting? I don't think so, but we'll have to see. You know, and with these points that I'm showing you, I don't see us going down too low, but like I said, the bottom of that rising channel is 473. That's probably the lowest target that it's going to give us. if it even gives us that. It might just give us this 81.66, 481.66 level that we're going to talk about in a few. But, if we did decide to come down lower, then that would be where we would come to. But this tiny little rejection here showing me on this RSI, it's not very big. It looks like it's just going to go sideways a little bit, touch this line, potentially at the 481.66 level. So far, it looks like we got bounced at the 485, I believe, or 487, something like that. Now, we probably just bounce here and then continue on up after we get through these little negative rollovers in the MACD and whatnot. So let's really fucking scalp this thing for the hell of it. Let me just take a look here where we're at. We got that golden cross right there on the daily. It's flattened right now, so as soon as that thing decides to roll up here, if it decides to roll up here, then that's going to be our golden cross that's going to send us higher. So that's what I'm watching for as far as a bigger target here. But, depending on what this RSI decides to do over the day, we'll have to find out. So if we look at these smaller time frames here in a second, then we can see what we could potentially be looking forward to. So this is a 15-minute time frame, just for the hell of it. So as you see, we got a little bounce on the RSI here, and it's starting to roll over a tiny hair. So that first bounce that we got, we could be potentially looking at another bounce in the 15 minutes, and then a retest, or it'll roll, or it's already doing the retest now at the 494. It's going to get rejected there, and then come back down again, see if we're going to come lower or if we're going to continue down. Now, if you look at the 15-minute, there we go, 15-minute MACD, we're not quite rolling up just yet, so we still have a potential of coming down a hair more, but we'll have to take a look around. I'm going to look even smaller. So on the 5-minute, as you can see, we got this MACD cross. This is for people that are scalping. But on the RSI here, we are pointing down a little bit here, and it looks like we are in some type of little small falling channel, or even like some kind of ascending triangle of some sort. We got rejected at the top of the line. We're probably going to come back down potentially, or this MACD will allow us to get back up to the 493.93 level. That's kind of our, at the moment on the smaller time frames, that's going to be our rejected point. HYLN is killing it. I'm pumped I got on that. I'm on that still. 45-minute time frame. We're still crossed on negative on the MACD, and the 20 EMA is at 491.66. So if we keep getting rejected below there, we could come a little lower on that. But on this RSI right now, we are literally getting support at the same point where we did before, which if we do decide to bounce here, this would potentially be, we're going to have to make a little W here, and whether we go a little lower or not, we'll have to figure this out here, but we'll have to watch and see what's going to happen. But as of right now, we are going to potentially create some type of bullish divergence here, because that left side where we double touched and made a W prior is lining up perfectly with where we are now. And obviously, as you can see, we're way higher on the price action. But on the hourly, looking at it here, we haven't touched this line yet. So we still have a little bit more to come down before we touch this line for support. So that little bit of line that we have to come down further to touch before we find this support here is probably, let's take a fib extension and see if we can figure this out. Now, if I go from this point, I don't know if I want to go from this point here. Let me see if I can find a better one that makes more sense here. Let me just get rid of some of this stuff so we can see it a lot more clear. There we go. Okay. So, oh, you know what? We'll go from the low. We'll go from that swing low. Kind of want to hit this wick over here. Yeah, this was our real low right here. So let's go by this low right here of this wick and up to where we are now and find out. Now, obviously, we're trending and consolidating in this golden pocket area up here between the 0.236 and that rejection point that we've been rejected at that 508.42 level. So if you look here, the 0.236 is at 481.92. So that is very possible that is where it's going to bounce on this trend line. It could wick a little bit below it, but I think we're going to get some type of double bottom right here on this 481.92. So I'd keep your eyes on that level there. Even if it doesn't give us that exact, it might give us 482, something like that. I don't really see us coming much lower than that, but we'll have to watch and see. But yeah, that's my update for now. Hopefully you guys are all pumped about what this thing's about to do. But over the next week, we're going to be up in the $560 level, $60 level, I bet. All right, take care.